In the crowded, ever-awake heart of Delhi, where the aroma of simmering street food mingled with the heavy scent of dust and vehicle fumes, Anjali and Samir lived in a modest second-floor apartment tucked away behind the chaotic rhythm of the main road. The space they shared was small but once felt warm, animated by whispered conversations, quiet laughter in the kitchen, and the comfort of shared silences. But lately that warmth had started to fade, replaced by a growing sense of distance and suspicion. Samir, once open and affectionate, had become guarded. Anjali noticed it in small shifts, the way his eyes darted toward his phone whenever it buzzed, how his body would subtly turn away when he answered messages. His phone, once forgotten on counters or carelessly tossed onto the sofa, was now always within reach. He took it with him everywhere, into the bathroom, into the shower, even to bed, keeping it close under his pillow as if it were a secret he had to protect. If her gaze lingered on it too long, even accidentally, he would snap at her with a sudden edge in his voice that hadn't been there before. Anjali tried to suppress her growing anxiety, brushing it off as paranoia, but her instincts kept tugging at her. There was something wrong, something festering beneath the surface of their routine life. The man she once trusted so implicitly now felt like a shadow, slipping further away with every passing day. It was on one stifling summer night, when the power flickered and the ceiling fan creaked overhead, that her doubts reached a tipping point. The world outside was hushed, wrapped in that peculiar stillness that Delhi sometimes offers between midnight and dawn. Samir lay beside her, deeply asleep, his breathing slow and even. In the soft glow leaking in from the street lamp, Anjali turned on her side, staring at the outline of his face. Her chest tightened with the weight of a decision she hadn't meant to make, but it had been forming slowly, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. Careful not to wake him, she slid his hand into hers, gently pressing his thumb against the biometric lock of his phone. The screen blinked awake, casting a cold blue light across her face. What she found was not a single betrayal but a complex, disturbing web of false identities and emotional manipulation. Samir wasn't just hiding another woman. He was playing 3 entirely different lives, each crafted with deliberate precision, each woman holding a version of him that didn't exist. Priya believed she was dating a successful entrepreneur who jetted between Dubai and Delhi for high-stakes business meetings. Their messages were filled with expensive taste, luxury hotels, designer brands, and false promises of a future spent sipping champagne on foreign beaches. She had even sent him money, believing she was helping fund his growing company. Then there was Ria, who thought she had found a kindred spirit, an emotionally wounded man healing from a bitter divorce. He wrote her poetry, shared songs that made him cry, and often messaged late at night about his supposed pain and loneliness. She had opened her heart to him, offered her compassion freely, not knowing that his sorrow was just another act in a script. And finally Mira, who believed she was engaged to be married to him. Their chats were filled with bridal outfit discussions, family arrangements, and the kind of casual intimacy shared by people who were already building a life together. He had sent her photos of engagement rings, lied about saving up, and even coordinated a fake timeline for introducing families. Mira had already told her parents about him. Each message Anjali read felt like a dagger, each lie another blow to her understanding of who Samir truly was. The sheer effort he had invested into maintaining these lies, the different writing styles, the careful time management, the manipulation, was terrifying in its detail. It wasn't just cheating. It was an entire ecosystem of deceit, fueled by his talent for mimicry and emotional exploitation. Her hands shook, not from indecision, but from the overwhelming mixture of grief, disbelief, and fury. She opened the camera and began capturing screenshots, making sure each one clearly showed the name, the messages, the timestamps, every piece of evidence she would need. Her heart raced, but her resolve was calm. There would be no confrontation, no screaming match, no begging for explanations. She had seen enough. Once she had the screenshots, she created a group chat and added Priya, Ria, and Mira. She didn't overthink it. Her message was brief but heavy with truth. You all deserve to know. He's been lying to each of us. These are the messages. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. The replies began pouring in within minutes. Priya was furious, her anger exploding in rapid, all-caps texts and screenshots of payment receipts she'd sent him to help with business expenses. Ria's messages came slower, more painful. She described the emotional support she'd given him, the nights spent believing his sadness was genuine. And Mira's responses came in waves of disbelief, the kind of heartbreak that leaves you numb. She had shown her family the ring, planned out the next 6 months around their wedding. Anjali watched as these three strangers, each a victim of the same lie, began to talk, console one another, connect through shared betrayal. For a moment the pain felt less lonely. The isolation that had weighed on her for weeks lifted slightly, replaced by the quiet strength of solidarity. Before the sun rose, Anjali moved quickly. She emptied the closet of everything that belonged to Samir. His clothes, his shoes, the cologne bottles he never capped properly. She packed his belongings into old suitcases and duffel bags and dragged them out to the curb, her movements steady, mechanical. The early morning air was thick with humidity, and the streets were just beginning to stir. A few neighbors watched in silence from their balconies but said nothing. In Delhi, everyone knows better than to ask. Back inside, the apartment felt different. Her things were already packed. She wrote a note in clean, deliberate handwriting on a torn page from an old notepad. She didn't waste words. You spent so long pretending to be someone else. Now you can figure out who you really are. Alone. She left the note on the kitchen table beside the key to the front door, the only trace of her remaining. That evening, Samir returned to find the apartment hollow. The silence was no longer the peaceful kind but oppressive, final. Her clothes were gone, the shelves rearranged, her laughter erased from the space. The note sat alone on the table, its message ringing louder than any confrontation could. Outside the building, his bags waited in the growing dusk, already gathering a thin film of dust. For the first time in a long time, Samir stood in the center of his life without a lie to hide behind, and without anyone left to believe in him.